All right, turn on my recorder. So,
All right.
thanks for coming on my show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you're
I'm
welcome. So,
excited.
Miss Sarah, tell the audience about yourself.
Okay. Uh, I'm an actor. I'm a writer. I am an activist. I like to use my art in activism whenever possible. And and I'm a talk show host like yourself.
Yeah, I noticed you're a talk show host, and I can tell you're a big activism, and I'm very proud of you as well. I'm also a big activist as well, and let's talk about your activism. What are you involved as by meaning is that?
Um, I'm I'm involved in Black Lives Matter.
Mhm.
Uh, I am involved with recording cops. Yeah, and I did get a cop fired, so I was glad about that. More should have happened, but yeah, he beat up a kid. I recorded it, so I'm glad that happened. And I like to act, improvise, and work with special different populations that wouldn't normally be exposed to acting and art. So I've worked with Vietnam vets, prisoners, human trafficking survivors, and a big one was people in hospice. So yeah, yeah, that's what I'm trying to
Amazing.
do.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. And
thanks.
by the way, all the picture in your background, all your on your wall.
Family, friends, cat, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And what attracted you to begin your career as an actress?
Um, well, I was I started doing really badly in middle school and in high school. My grades dropped. I had depression, ADHD, which no one really, even though they knew it, they didn't know how the teachers didn't accommodate that. And all of a sudden, my grades plummeted, which added to my depression. I felt that I couldn't do anything well at all, at all. And throughout grade school, I had acted and put on performances, and me and my brother and sister were always putting on shows for whoever wanted to watch. But there was a play, an audition posted. Now, this is in West Virginia where acting is very, very sparse. Um, but there was an audition posted in the newspaper.
Hmm.
Uh, and they were looking for actors to be in a play about teenagers who had contracted or were in danger of contracting HIV and AIDS, and they wanted
Hmm.
to go across the high schools and middle schools in West Virginia and do it. And it's a big deal, not only because of STDs and HIV, but also nearly half the kids in West Virginia, it's the Bible Belt, their parents don't allow them to take sex ed.
Hmm.
We have the highest teenage pregnancy rate in the country. Anyway, and I was like, let me try it. And I got it. I got it. And that's how it started. And it was the first thing in a long time that I was good at. I was great at. And and the director let me know that. And so long story, but that's how I got started, and I've been acting ever since.
Amazing. Oh, so you're currently in West Virginia?
No,
No.
no, 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 sir. Um, I, I'm sorry. Your pronouns. What are
Ryochi.
you're Ryochi? So
Yes.
no pronoun. Okay,
No.
gotcha. Ryochi. Um, no. At 17, I was out. So yeah. I
Sorry,
was
sorry. Wait, you mentioned West Virginia, so I thought that's very currently.
no, that's where I grew up. No, that's absolutely
Mhm.
right. That's where I grew up. And I stayed as long as I had to. And as I've worked since I was 14. I saved up my own money and yeah, I came to New York. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. And are you working on any current projects?
I am. I am currently working on my show, Mixed Messages,
Hmm.
which I interview people uh, about their personal mixed race experience, and I love doing it. And I am currently in an improv troupe and a musical improv troupe, and it's wild. It's female and female identifying people
Hmm.
doing musical improvised Star Trek. And it's been
Wow.
so nerdy and so amazing. And I live. And I also do straight improv, which I just absolutely love. Yeah.
That's awesome. Are you a big Star Trek person?
No. So here's what, not at all. So I've been studying up on Star Trek, which is the most wholesome thing in the world. But anyway, I did an improv show. We these people, red shirts, opened up for us. And I was floored. After we went up on the stage, I was like, I cannot follow that. I am amazed. I have goosebumps now. So they invited me to do uh, a, a, a recreation Star Trek episode thing. So we did that. Then they stopped doing that. Then two of the women from there wanted to start a straight improv group.
Hmm.
So I did that. We really got along. And as of last month, they were like, study Star Trek, come on board, no pun intended. And so that's what happened. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
wow, Star Trek is fun. I'm a big
Do
Star.
you like it? Are you a fan?
I am. I am. I'm more a Star Wars fan though.
It's same. Yeah. I will not say like two of these women are huge Trekkies and the rest are like, but it's such good, wholesome fun. So yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And
Thanks.
so, and then what attracted you to be a talk show host as well?
All right. So the pandemic happened. And New York, I mean, who would have thought? But in March, we all locked down. Where are you right now?
In Oklahoma City. So yes, we locked down in March.
So and it was bad. I mean, so not leaving the house. I'm very much a people person. People are my favorite thing in the world. And so for extroverts especially, it even now still, I'm like, get me out. So everything shut down. There were no stages, no, and Zoom was tricky. And I was in this house nonstop, as most people were. Anyway, so I talked to my brother. We were very much, me, my brother and sister are always talking racism, how it works, what's going on in America, blah, 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 in the world. And I ran this idea by my brother, and I was like, what do you think about a show that called Mixed Messages, where I would interview people and discuss their personal mixed race experience? He was like, yes, do it. Then I ran it by my friend Marcus, who was the first guest on the show. And he said, yes, do it. And I'm like, you know what? Let's go. I'm in the house. This is one of the few things I can do out of the house. So that's what happened. And I love it. I love it. So
It's
that's how it
amazing.
went
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. You know, and what's so interesting about America is we're so divided even now.
Big time.
And it's
Big time.
the shock, right? Um, and I just, it's just hard to believe how, I'm Asian, right? Half Asian, but it's still, it's hard to believe people would judge you the way you look and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
mind blowing.
It is. And may I ask, are you born and raised in Oklahoma City?
No,
Okay. Because I feel that that probably makes where may I ask where you were
no, it's
born?
okay. I was born in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes. And, especially you notice, every country has their problems.
Mm-hmm.
You look at America is supposed to be the what do you call it? Like
Melting pot or
not the melting pot.
okay.
It's supposed to be where you feel land the free. There's another word I was going to try to there was another word I was trying to think of. It wasn't coming to my head, but the audience will know I'm talking about you. But it's anyways, you have people come here all around the world who come to America and they at this country thinking, okay, there's yes, every country has problems, including America. I will admit that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think about that. You don't think about, their diversity problems, right? And we need to have diversity, right? This is what America's made from. You look at Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, Hawaii, Florida. People are more accepting, right? But we also need to can't be close-minded, gotta be open-minded, and I feel like it's that's a problem, we can't be 100% close-minded. So,
Well, yeah.
you know,
Yeah. It yes, I do. And I mean since the 2016 election, it's been really widely known. Like growing up in West Virginia, there was so much racism, so much racism. Um, and I had no doubt that about the outcome of the 2016 election. I was like, he's gonna win. He's gonna win. And people underestimated the racism in this country. And I feel like what you're saying is everywhere else I went in the world, half of my family's in England, and I went and they were like, "How could America do this? How could?" I'm like, "I'm telling you." And even when I went to Africa, it was East Africa. These were kids in an orphanage, and they said, Sarah, why does your president hate this, our skin?" And I'm like, "Yes." And people in America won't admit that. And here's kids 10, 11, 12 saying why.
mhm.
Yeah, it's and I hear you. I hear you.
I don't talk much about this topic on my show, but
Mhm.
it's important to talk about. I'm
Yeah,
very LT anti-bully. I'm very LGBT supporter. But
yeah,
when it comes to situation is we gotta talk about more about situations.
yeah, yeah,
You tell friends, and it's like you gotta do something, right? I remember the 2016 election,
yeah,
and you remember the last presidential election, it was so close, right? And then, and it's just unbelievable how America is still trying to recover from all this, right? And it's just
yeah.
how can you how can we recover, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
you look at that and you don't understand still, right? And it's like you try to put an ease on the ease, right? And you try to move forward and try to forgive those people, but it's hard because they're closed-minded. I'm a Christian faith. I believe in Jesus. I believe in God, 100%.
Mhm.
You have some of them that don't, they believe in Christian, believe in God, but they also don't see what you're talking about. And they're also part of the problem
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
not ending.
Yeah. And I hear what you're saying because it's exhausting when it's one-sided. Like you're telling them what this is, and I they're not seeing it. And it's just, I feel like you're right. And I need to learn from you to move forward because it can really get you down.
And it is hard to move forward, right? It is hard. You look at um I've kind of experienced racism to me, but
Yeah.
you can be so mad, right? But and the reality is like, can you hold that anger for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, right? And your heart gets, and yes, I understand. And a lot of people will make, trust me, a lot of people are probably gonna put comments after this, but you can have so much hate and so much anger in you. But in reality, it's like, would you want to hurt your soul, or do you want to continue on? You can forgive the person. You may never see that person, or you may, but you can move on in life, right? And that's what we need to do, move on in life. But again, you can be, you can, don't forget about it.
Yeah.
Remember. But I always tell people, do something, right? But also try to maybe have a conversation with them. You never know. You could change,
Yeah.
right? And they'll
It's
be like,
true.
and then what's so interesting is like they start hanging out with you, taking phone calls with you, and that's a beginning step. You may be changing one person or five people, but I always
Yeah.
tell myself is like, yes, you can hold that.
Mhm.
And I used to, but and in reality, it's like, okay, let me think for a minute. What is best for my heart, my soul? And then you continue on with your life. And it's hard because for me, it took me a while. It's like
Yeah.
going on, right? And I had to think, meditate, close the door, listen to Lady Gaga and Taylor Swift songs and
Yeah.
Adele. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you listen to songs like that and you're thinking, okay, relax, breathe in and out. And then you're like, okay, let's start a new day, right? But again, but it comes back down to, it's like we as a society got to do something, right? There's a problem, but there, and you're right. When the 2016 election came, I was in denial. Okay,
Yeah.
one of those. I was like, okay, no way, no whatever. But and then later on, I was like, wow, it's not. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. And
Yeah. And I think it was bad. I mean, I think it was always there, but people finally it erupted when it was out in the open. But I have to tell you, you are dropping some truth bombs right now, and I am going to take this because I have goosebumps again because you're absolutely right. And this is something my therapist said to me a couple weeks ago. She was like, Sarah, what are you doing for self-care? And I'm like, oh my God. And what you're saying is what protecting your heart and soul seems like such a duh thing, but I don't do that enough.
no,
And what you're talking about and the self-care and the listening to music and meditating and trying to move on for yourself is just like, I'm going to be watching this episode and taking the notes because this,
and it's so
right.
interesting because I get on Instagram and TikTok, and there is a guy lives in New York, true story. And
Mhm.
he actually rides subway and he paints strangers sitting across with him or next to him. And it doesn't matter what race your skin are. And he hands them to them. And they're like, some of them are crying, some of them are in shock. That's what you need. And then
Yeah.
also you have um a random guy standing there putting headphones and he's laughing in a subway train and everybody just looks at him and then they start laughing around him because
Exactly. And that's what I miss.
that positive attitude, right? And it's like what we need. But again,
Yeah,
also, you know, yes, unfortunately, and the sad part is it's like we have, and I'm gonna down straight say it, we do have racism in this country. And yes, every country has something like that. But you never thought to be this serious, right? We don't want to go back to like 1950s and 1960s, right? Right.
exactly. Yeah.
And so, and I, you can heal yourself, but don't forget about it. You gotta speak up, speak up. Because if we don't speak up, then everybody else who thinks is like, oh, this is nothing, right? So yes, we need
Exactly.
to speak up, but don't be like, oh wow, I'm so mad. I'm gonna be mad for 3 years or something. Like, no, we gotta, you know, make our heart happy, right? You don't want to be in a hospital.
Exactly. Because you can't, and you're not mobile. You can't do
Right,
anything.
right. And you don't want the doctors telling you, yeah, doctor, your heart is so stressed out. And you're thinking to yourself, oh, what did I just do to my body, my soul?
Totally.
And then
Totally.
when you leave the hospital, you won't be able to do what you want to do, and you're still in your house relaxing because you know you can't push your heart so much. And that's why I tell myself and I tell everybody, it's like, think for a minute, where do you want your body to be in 5 years or 10
Yeah.
years? You
Yeah.
relax, take a deep breath, and yes, we do have road rage, we get mad easily, but
Yeah.
trust me,
And
but it's like we gotta be happy. But
yeah.
in all reality, there is a problem. I 100% agree with you. There is a solution. I don't know the solution, but there is. But the solution is to speak up. And you're right. It's been more open public now. And it's just I don't know if you saw the interview with one of the US soccer player from Iran. I say Ron, they say Ron.
I say Ron too.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
The
No, I
interview
didn't.
asked him, how do you feel about your country with this? I don't remember what he said, but and it's just like, um, that's a question you are shocked, right? But again, when you get that from countries like that, you're thinking to yourself, yes, your country's going through some things, but again, for you from your country to ask us that, it's thinking, okay, so you're looking at us like, what is going on in your country? Because America is supposed to be the great one nation, which it is. We have always gold medal, the most gold medals in every in sports. We have amazing, everybody's like, and don't get me wrong, I love America. But when we have a problem, you don't want the rest of the world who says, "Oh, I want to visit America, but I also have fear. I want to experience this." Right? What happened to, "Oh, we welcome you, and we're going to
Yeah.
treat you the way you should be treated in your own country," right? But
Or better.
right,
Much better.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. And
Yeah.
so,
And I feel like, look, if we didn't love America, we wouldn't be trying to make it better. Like that's what you do with someone you love, or something you love.
yeah,
Um, and I I know what your show is about, but I do feel like we are doing, you and I are doing what we love, and we are people of color, and we're doing this, and I think it's important for representation to be on camera, to be behind camera, to be writing these things, to be giving it, and I do think that adds to it, and we're telling our stories, and we're showing other people that look like them and that think
right.
like them
And
and
we're,
happy.
we gotta
I mean,
speak up. You
yeah,
other famous actors and actresses, and they are doing the same thing for us. You look at other celebrities, right? And they're doing the same thing. And you look, and like Whoopi Goldberg and all those people are doing the same for us, But again, we're doing what we can do, right? And it's like we do what we can, we help what we can, but again, is we always rewind. And I always tell people, it's like, okay, number one, we can speak up, but
hmm
my number one also is think about your heart and your soul, then speak up. But also, you can be mad, but also rewind to number one. Where do you want your heart and soul to be? Because
Right.
you don't want it to affect your personal life at home, right? If
Yeah.
your family members come home and they see you acting the way you are at home, then they know, wait a minute, we have to do something, right? So I totally, it's, you know, there's a problem, in um my shows, my show does everything I do, LGBT topics, I do suicide, mental health, and it's, in mental health is very important for me as well. So
Very. And I'm very open about having depression and also treating it and having therapy every week and seeing a psychiatrist every month. And you're right, like it has to, there's no, there shouldn't be a stigma and shame. But what you're saying about protecting your heart and soul, that should be number one. I'm I need to write that and put it up. And I'm not saying that I will send you a photo after I do it because that I might cry. That is not number one for me. And
yeah, I know
me,
it takes, I always tell people it takes a slow progress because you have
Mhm.
to, how do you describe, you have to rewind in your life
Yeah.
of it. And it's like, I always tell myself and I tell people, it's like, we can be mad.
hmm
Is yes, we can campaign and we can fight, which we should, right? We need to. But also, it's like we can be mad at the election. Yes, we should.
Yeah.
But are you going to hold the presidential election for 4 years being so mad and angry for your soul and your heart for 4 years? And that's the thing. It's like, or every 2 years, for the Senate and the House, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so you're going to have extra burden, extra anger. So that's why I always say, okay, the election's over. You're upset what we got, but also I was upset in 2016. Yes, I was still mad, but also it's like pause for a minute, right? Let's rewind. Why are we rewinding? We need to relax our heart. We have to relax our soul. Then yes, you can continue your journey. But
Right.
always, I tell myself and I tell everybody, don't forget your priority. Yes, you
hmm
continue on your fight, but stop. Maybe take a break. Go get coffee for a minute or go
Yeah. Yeah.
sit down and breathe. Take a deep breath. Continue. You go for a walk, 30-minute walk, right? And it's like when you're walking, your whole body's relieved and your stress relieved, and then you can continue what you want to do. You're like, okay, now I'm gonna go fight again, right? You can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the thing. You
Yeah,
wanna
and what you're saying is so true. And it doesn't have to be, you can still have that anger, but channel it into something good. You're right. And you don't have to be just one thing. And I just, I'm thinking of the things I do for self-care and like watch bad TV, manicures, a nice candle. But I, I, I need to, like I've heard, like if oxygen masks come down on a plane, you always put yours on first in order to help other people. And that's what I'm thinking about. And it's just like it just feels like such a duh, but I needed you. I need that reminder. So yeah.
Yeah, it's something we have to think about, and it was hard because it's like, I understand,
Mhm.
something that we as Americans is like we see um, what is going on in this country, right? And racism and what is this it's and you try to tell people what you're experiencing, they don't
Mhm.
understand, makes you mad, and you have a right to. Trust me, you do. And but again, it's like, what is going on, right? You never expected this to happen, right? And
Mhm.
it's in a build-up process. And like you said, the I remember when President Obama was elected. Oh, wow, it's been a long time,
I know, I know, but I do.
Um,
Yes.
it's unbelievable how, and I'm gonna straight up say this, I never thought that a lot of people in America in their lifetime never thought they would see a black man be elected, right? First black family. And
Yeah.
it is shocking. It was a shock to this country. It was amazing turnout, right? In the election, Oprah was on the crowd. They showed her on TV. She was crying. Everybody was out.
Oh,
And it's just
wow.
like, you go from that to this.
I know. Phoom. I know. But you're
So
also reminding me how good it can be too,
it
because
is good,
I,
and it shows me that one of my friend told me America goes up and down in history.
hmm.
And what's so interesting is we're in the down process of the history, right? But the only way we're going to change it is for the younger generation, for us to realize, hey, you may have been 10 years old when President Obama was elected, or you have may not been born, right?
Mhm, mhm.
This is your time. This is your moment, right? So you think about what you want for your future. We're not going to tell you who to vote for. If you
Mhm.
vote for Riochi, for example, go vote for him. You want to vote
Yeah.
for Sarah, you go vote. But I always say, before you make a decision, look at their views. Is this the view that you want in America? Okay, they stand up for this, they stand up for that. Or you want to go for a person who's against this view, but they did good on that part. But I always tell people, think about what you want for your country, right? The future is in your hand. The future is going to be in your hand. You're going to be the next generation. We're going to be with you. We're going to back you up. But you can't 100% rely on us, right? If you want another President Obama, right?
Yeah.
We as a nation, you guys are making that decision, right? And it's just we help with campaigning, we help all this, but on reality is, what do you want for your future, right? The Gen X, the Gen, I can name all of them, but you name it, and it's like you think about it, right? And it's just something. If you what you want, right? You want to fight for this country, go campaign, what you want to do. But I always tell people, first start in your own state. Start in the state. That's where the change comes. You want to see something that's in your state. You want to run for mayor, go for it. You want to run for a police chief, go for it. You want to run for a senator, go for it. You want to run for
Mhm.
president, hey, so be it. But the thing is, that's where it starts. You want to have your community support you. They want to know you, right? So they're like, oh, okay, this person. Why should I vote for this person as a mayor in my country, right? He's only 20 years old, for example. Why should I vote for this guy who's 50 years old, has been in politics all their life, right? And so no, and there's nothing against that. But people want to look at you and like, okay, we want to give you a chance. But why should we vote for you compared to a person he or she who's been in politics for 50 years. And the person
Mm,
who's been in politics for 50 years may be a great senator, or a great governor, or a great mayor, but also think about who you're going against. Because I always tell people, if you really want that person to stay, don't fight against the person. If they have the same value, stay with them, support them, right? But
mm,
it's all to you. You want to bring younger generation to come to support you, then maybe. But I always tell everybody, think, because this is you. I will
yeah.
give you my opinion, but I'm not going to go in there and grab your hand and say, vote for this person. Or I don't want to grab your hand and you're going to ask me, oh, who should I vote for? I'm going to look at you. I'm like, okay, there may be 4 Republican candidates and 4 Democrat candidates. Well, I like that person, right? Oh, well, I like that person. No, well, I don't know. You can't ask me. It's you. It's your decision, right?
Mhm,
Just
mhm.
vote for it. I'm not going
Yeah,
to judge you. I may be disappointed, upset, but this is
right.
you, right? This is you, and that's that's the thing. Like, you know, and it's difficult for anybody to understand that, right? It's like, what is going on in America
Mhm.
just right now? But I always go by who a gentleman who is 70 years old, and he lived through from JFK to now. But
Mm,
he always tells me that he was told the same thing. The decision is in your hand. You were the young generation in his time, during that time. He remembers
right.
JFK. Then he continues. He remembers Nixon. He remembers Reagan. He remembers Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Bush, and Bush. But
Yeah.
he always says this. He's like, the decision comes to you. You're the one that's going to make the change in the future. But he always told me, like, remember, America goes up and down in history. We'll go back to the very worst time
Yeah.
possible. But that's because if we, it can, but if we don't make changes, that's how we as younger generations, we teach them the history, right? We
Mhm,
teach them history, 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 history. So you give them all the information, right?
mhm.
You push all the information in their brain. They're probably looking at you like you're crazy and nuts, probably most of the time. And then you'd be like, here's my questions. You can ask me. Then you're like, okay, you can talk to me in 5 days from the election. Okay.
Mhm.
And then you can always say, don't call me the day you're going to go vote because I'm not going to change your mind. Right.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
ask me your opinion, but I'm not going to tell you I'll tell you my opinion. But I always tell them, look, look, you're the one that's changing America. You're the one that's gonna make that progress.
Mhm.
I always, it's you look at President Obama and then you look at what happened. For me, I was very upset. But and then I pause and I'm thinking, wow, America just went downhill a little bit. And people are like, "What do you mean downhill, Diochi?" And I'm like, "Yes, I know that's a big difference, right?" And you're thinking, "What's happening?" And for me, I say we kind of healed right here. We're not all the way up. We're just right
Yeah,
here. Maybe we went from down here. We're right here, right?
yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little medium low. But you look at President Obama like way up here, right? And then you go down here,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I always think about we're in a rebuilding process. Rebuilding.
I agree with that. I agree. I
The
agree.
good movie I would tell everybody they need to see is Whoopi Goldberg movie that she's in, Till.
Oh, I haven't seen
Till, the boy who got killed in Mississippi.
Oh, Till. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
so I do recommend people seeing that, and I tell people see that,
Mhm.
talk. It's a good movie, but that's where I believe I'm glad they made that movie. I don't know the director, but I'm glad Whoopi Goldberg's in that. She talked about on TV, by the way, and the person who interviewed her, I believe it was on ABC or something or MSNBC or CNN, and I don't remember. Anyway, sorry, but she
Mm-mm.
about it. She talked about it, and it's just powerful that she mentions stuff like this, that what we're talking about. She talks about
Yeah.
what's going on, right? So you that's what I'm talking about. That's where we, as a younger generation, got to make changes, right? There is a town in Mississippi that is has that should be, I'm ashamed of saying this, but it's all Black communities, right? And
I know.
and it's just how, and you look at that and it's like that is from generation to generation to generations of their family members, right? Generations, right? So you have movies like The Till, and it's good to show young people to make that. I lost track of what I was trying to say, but I'm glad they made a movie because it talks about that, right? Talks about that. And that's what we need as this nation. I believe, um, I support all film directors, producers, actors, and actresses, don't get me wrong, but I am glad they made that movie. I
Yeah.
believe the director who made this movie made it for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say purpose, because people may look at me wrong, but I'm gonna say for a reason. I'm gonna leave it like that. And I'm glad. So
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right, as far as like, because I know about it. I've grown up knowing about Emmett Till, but for younger generations, they might not. And the same with Central Park 5. When that was made, I was just like, oh, I know about the, but it had to be, it had to be made. And you're absolutely right. These things have to get out there. And I love how you and I can talk about this, but still remain in a happy conversation and kind of, you know what I mean? Though I mean, like, and that's what I like about my show, because we do get into, I mean, look, I think every person of color has experienced some form of racism,
mhm.
um, period. But I mean, I'm always laughing on my show too. So and I feel like that's what you were talking about. Like, you can have this anger there, but it doesn't have to control you and consume you. And
Yeah. And
yeah,
you don't want your friends to notice, right? Because you have, your friends start noticing you. It's like, wow, why are you so mad? Or what's going on in your life? And I'm like, what do you mean? It's just normal. Like, no, something's weird. There's something, I feel this energy around you. It's like we're having fun, but we can tell there's something. You're like, oh, sorry. And you're like, and then it's good to get people noticing that, and then I tell people, laugh, have fun. But also, it sounds wrong to say this, but watch your back, and but also have fun. You can't be alert 24/7, right? You can't just like, oh my gosh, right? You gotta enjoy life, right? You can't be in fear. And it sounds horrible to say that, but we can. But it's just like you can be observed, but you also have we as human beings, our heart and our spirit needs to have fun. Go to
yeah,
basketball, go to a football game, have fun and scream. And the one thing I love about basketball games, NBAs and NFL and college football and any sports is that all races, we're in this arena and we're
mhm,
hearing and we're screaming. And that is what I consider as we as Americans, right? We are coming together for this sport event, right? We're talking out against each other about our team, but we're coming together, right? You look at people who are cheering for the U.S. hockey soccer team on the World Cup, sitting together in a bar, and
yeah,
that is
yeah,
what I call we are getting. And then you look at that and you're thinking, was there ever racism? And then then you're thinking, okay, it's over. And then you're like, wow, this is a different what I just experienced here compared to here. And I
Yeah.
understand that's where everybody's like get mad. They're like, oh, I'm so mad at this. I'm like, whoa, whoa, stop, calm down. It's like, don't break your own window. Don't break your door. Just relax. And it's like you have a right to get mad because you're like you came from a fun place and now you're experiencing it. And you're thinking to yourself, I understand. Hug,
Yeah.
let them cry on your shoulder. And I always tell people smile because you don't know what they're going through, right? They and there are some people that don't mean it, and there's some people that do, and I understand, Sarah, and it's like, and you never know what they're going through. You could have a
Right.
that just and sadly lose someone to suicide or lost a family member, and you're thinking to yourself, I always smile. And then you think and pause, and it's like you hug them and they're crying and they're like they tell you stories and you think about it's like, okay, that's where I tell everybody, pause for a minute and relax because they're crying. They may
Yes.
been really mad at you. They may have said some rude things to you, hurtful things to you, but when they tell you, it's like, oh, my brother or my son or my mother or my father or my family member just committed suicide. And what makes it worse is like, oh, I found them. And it's just like, whoa. And
Yeah.
and they're upset. And you're thinking to yourself, you're trying to get that anger out of you. Your brain is getting all that stuff in you, and you're just saying things, and they don't mean to, but they're just saying it, right?
I get that. And
Look at them
yeah.
and you get them and they're like, wow, right? And there are some that are, what I'm trying to say, they don't, yeah. But you look at that and you're thinking, when I lost my three friends to suicide,
Sorry.
that is because I've been there. I've been, I almost, I thankfully is my close friends, but I've said some bad things to them. And
Yeah.
they're like, they're like, okay, you need a hug. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I just cry, and they're like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
And they're like, They're like, "Okay, what is going on? You're crying and crying, right?" And that's a situation that what's going on in America. Yes, we're mad, we're upset. There's racism. We need to talk about that, but also before we judge people, and it's hard to say that. And it's hard for me to say this is because it's you don't know. But again, we have to understand their situation too. What
Mhm.
what happened to them, right?
Yeah. And I think what you're talking about, I think grief surpasses all that. Like I've lost a lot of
Mhm.
friends in different ways, but I know I've lashed out. Like, and it's just been like, what? Like I went off on my very good friend because she didn't say thank you for me giving her cookies, and I was like, you did this, and I was then right. I was just like, what did I just do? And I was just like, I apologize. I am in deep grief. And apparently that was the thing. I needed to focus. She was like, I totally understand. Or, I do think that all gets the anger, preconceived notion, whatever, has to get pushed to the side
Mhm.
because people essentially, you're right, are people, and you've got to be there for them.
And the
Period.
thing is, and it's hard for me to say this. It can't be an excuse for racism. It really can't.
Right.
Um, and the thing is that, well, it really can't. And it's hard to understand in that there is there is a solution, but also we have to teach the younger generation, right? And it's it's I believe that the younger generation is going to change America. You know, you look at um they're in the generation of what they understand racism more. It seems like.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, there are some who don't. They're raised from their generation, their family generation.
Absolutely. And but what you're saying is very important because a lot of times people don't know what they're saying is racist. They really legitimately and what you're saying is true. Some people are closed off like, yeah, I know what I'm saying. This is how I feel, but a lot of times it's like, let me tell you, what you're saying is based in racism, is racist. And a lot of times I have heard people like, a lot of times like people want to learn and it's like, damn, okay, I can see where that would be. And that's so important. But you're also right about things changing. Like people are asking pronouns. Bathrooms are changing. Like all gender bathrooms are changing. And people, uh, older generations are like, what's the big deal about bathrooms? And it's just like, do you remember when they were segregated bathrooms?
Hmm.
Like colored and
And
white.
it's
Like bathrooms matter. But I think the fact that we're doing that and we're moving forward and we're recognizing more than one gender, more than two genders, it's
and it's what's so interesting is that it's concerning that people are forgetting about what happened in the past with segregation and we
yeah,
color bus and Caucasian bus,
yeah,
you know, in bathrooms and water fountains, right? And we are going through this racism phase, right? And you sit and by the way, I only watch CNN, MSNBC, but anyways, when you watch
yeah,
what's going on TV and social media and all this stuff, you're seeing what's happening, but it's like you see these older people who are, it's so hard to say this, but they're involved in this racism. Not all of
yeah,
them, not all of them, but some of them. In my mind, it's like, how can they not remember what happened?
yeah, yeah. And that's the tough part. Because that's happened with people I love, and I was so surprised at. And I was just like, damn, you're really not seeing this. And it is so hard when you're trying to talk to someone like we said before. There are people who want to be anti-racist and are open to thinking, oh, well, I said that or I did that. But then there are people who won't accept it and don't want to hear it, and it's that can hurt. That
Hmm.
can hurt. And I mean, and I agree with what you were saying before. You can only hold on to it for so long, and then that's it. You got to rewind it, reset. So yeah, yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. It's just what we do, right?
Hmm.
I always
Yeah.
tell people, you know, you can fight, you can do what you want to do in your community, but also
Mhm.
realize you have a voice. And you have a voice, you can change, but also comes down to what do you want? If you know,
Yeah.
or if your friends and everybody, your younger generations continue. What do you want for the future, right? But also
Mhm.
about the younger generation under you who wants to continue, right? And you want to think because it's like what you know, people are thinking, wow, America's not getting solved. And I said, okay, we have up and downs, right?
Mhm.
We're not like 1960s where we had, you know, colored bathroom and all that stuff.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
like there's a progress there. And then everybody's thinking, it's like, wow, you're right. I said, see, that's a
Yeah.
progress. That's a progress.
Yeah.
But I always tell people, it's like, okay, you see that's progress. How do you think it changed? It's because
Hmm.
generations, the younger generations, younger generation voted and vote and vote or made change in their communities. And that's how everybody's like, we see what the problem is, right? So
Yeah.
we as we have to do it, and it's like same thing with immigration. A lot of people, a lot of friends and all this stuff. And and it's like, what can we do? What should we do? And it's just amazing. I have a friend in Los Angeles. He is a film director and he's making films about immigration,
Excellent.
about people coming on boat and act like they had nothing in their hand. They're coming to live in America, right? And film
Yeah.
about a father being taken away from their house, right? Because that impacts people's lives, right?
Yeah. And that's important to tell
We,
that story and get it out. And
mhm,
also, like you're saying, there are different, you don't have to take action in a certain way. You can look, there are 94 families, immigrant families that are here. I'm going here, but 2 blocks away. Um, and people in the neighborhood are like, just give things. And you can do that. Like, it doesn't have to be like, I gotta get it. I I just love how you can do things at different levels and there isn't one
mhm,
direction to help. Yeah. Yeah.
100%. It's amazing. It's just how we can talk, how we can talk about this, but also and don't get me wrong, it's like everybody's probably wondering, oh, look at Rich and Sarah, like, yeah, there's problems in our country too, and I'm like, yes, I know, and I'm not saying it's not just our country. I'm just saying that
Hmm. Yeah.
every country, but I'm just saying is that we help you guys to understand you can do the same in your country as well, right? And it's like every country has a problem, right? And not every country is perfect, and America's not perfect. You look at Japan, look at South Korea, and you look at England and Canada, and every
Iran right now,
yeah,
like,
every
yeah.
country's not perfect, but we
Yeah.
have a voice. We have to speak up. We have to do some change, and change will begin. Like President Obama said, change.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
been a long time, and I can't
Yeah.
believe it, but
Yeah.
um, unbelievable that we lived through a histories of
I mean, some big history, like big history, and a global pandemic. Like, that's huge history. Like, it's wild. It's wild. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is wild. Pandemic, everything was on pause.
We have some stories to tell.
It is unbelievable. The pandemic, it was just like, oh my goodness, what happened?
Yeah.
I was like, yay! And then the world was like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, yes. I
Like
agree.
and
I
like the NBA, hockey, football, college basketball, everybody was like, "What is this?" The stands are not full. The fans are like, what are we doing here? What's going on?"
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, no one knew what to do. No one knew what to do. So, but I'm also a lot of positive things came out of it. And you and I are on Zoom right now talking and having an interview. And look, I don't even think I had used Zoom before, maybe a little bit, but this has really taken off. And I do love that. Because when would you and I get together otherwise? Like, really?
Yeah,
And
that's true.
I do love that part. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That's amazing. And if you mind me, how did you find me? How did you find the Riochi's Talk Show?
How did I? Lord, I don't know. I did want to reach out to, I don't know, because it was either I wanted to reach out to other people doing talk shows like I was, um, but also mixed race people, because um I really, our stories are unique in the sense that even though people are of different mixes, I feel like mixed race people not only have a coming of age story, but a coming of identity story.
Mhm.
Uh, and so I found you either that or looking at different talk shows and what you were doing, and yeah, I wanted to follow you and look at them.
Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you
That's,
for doing what you do.
and it's just I started doing it because I'm a big fan of Ellen DeGeneres.
Ah, nice. Okay. So that's your muse.
Oh
That's your
yes.
muse. Not see, mine is Oprah. I'm like, but Oprah, I'm like, yes, I can. That's my.
Yes, my
That's
my
so
my
cool.
um big dream is to have my own show in Hollywood, just like Ellen. And
Nice.
Ellen, she has inspired me to pursue my dreams, love what I'm doing, and it's just amazing do this. You get to never meet. I never met so many actors and actresses, and across
Yeah.
the United States. So
Yeah. And you never know who you're going to connect with. I just love that, and honestly, I love feeling your energy, and that you love what you're doing, and it really comes through, and that's so, it's magical.
yes, I love what I'm doing. You know,
Yeah.
this is my passion, right?
Yeah, me too. And also people. I mean, give me those people. I have missed those people. So yeah, yeah, it's I love it too.
Amazing. Yeah, it's amazing how we all can get connected.
Yeah, and find so many levels of connection. And yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's amazing. And yeah, and I got connected with you, Sarah.
And I connected with you, Ryoshi. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
it's just amazing how we as a community support each other. No
Hmm.
matter where we're living, East Coast, West Coast, North, South, Central, in Europe. And it's so inspiring how every film director and actor and actresses have the same goal, where they want to see themselves in 5 years, or where they want to be when they want to move to New York or LA or Arizona, Texas. They all have this film vision, right?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
what's so interesting and powerful is every one of them have a story behind it. Why
Hmm.
they want to do it? What
Hmm.
happened in their life? They want to, and what's so powerful is they want to share their story, what they experienced, right? It's
Yeah.
a what happened? What happened in your life? What's going on? I want to make a movie about it. And then they inspire other people. This
Yeah.
I went from this town that crossed the border in Europe to live in this town. And it's like, wow. Because that's what people want to make films about. It's just like you want to show people that we should care, we should be showing affection, right? And
Yeah.
this is what it's about. Us as being a talk show host, we talk about stuff like this. But it's very important. You look at film directors that want to make films about LGBT. You want to make film director who make films about immigration, about films about racism, about actions and all that stuff. But these film directors and these actors and these producers and singers, they're telling their stories, what,
Yeah.
what they experienced, so people don't experience it as well. It's like this is what's happening, but also have a voice as well,
Hmm.
so we can
Yeah.
change. You know,
And people feel less alone. They feel seen. And I think the wonderful and amazing thing about actors and writers and director artists like us, um we all have this passion. We have to do it. It's not like, oh, I feel I'm not doing this job. No, we have to do it. And that's just, it's
hmm
everything. It's just a connection that is felt on a higher level, because we all know, nah, we're not going to be full unless we do
Yeah,
this.
100%. It's
Yeah.
so true. Sarah, you're so amazing. I love your energy.
And I love yours. Thank you.
You know, thank you for coming on my show. I can't wait to have you back. We need to have more topics about this.
I'm in. I'm
Sure.
in.
No.
Totally. Thank you. Thank
We
you
will,
for
we will I will get your schedule. We'll figure out the next show, and we definitely should talk about more about racism, about equal rights, about mental health. Definitely mental race.
Yeah. I am down. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mental health is very important for me. So,
Me too. Me too.
and like I said, I know I talked about it, but you have so many pictures in your background.
Yeah, it's my family and friends, mixed messages logo. What else? Yeah. It's fun.
I like
Thank
it.
you. Thank you.
You
Thank
look,
you.
and what's that S right there at the bottom?
Well, I made that. My brother had this saw, and it was I love projects and construction and putting things together. So whenever I'm with my brother, we have big projects to do. Like we were working on his house the last time, but just like I love it. Um, so he had a new handsaw, and I was just like, let me get at it. And so I made this S with a board he had, and that's what that is. It was my first attempt, but I loved it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing. That's awesome. Well, thank you again, Sarah, and I definitely can't wait to have you back.
Thank you so much, Ryoshi.
Yes.
Ryoshi.
Yes, Ryoshi,
Okay.
yes. And we're gonna stay in touch, and I want to have you back.
Thank you so much. Thank you for
Yes.
taking this time to talk to me, and
Yeah,
for
you're
reaching
very
out.
welcome. And definitely,
Yeah.
like I said, want to have you back. We can talk about more about these issues because we need to talk more about this racism.
Yeah. And taking care of your heart and soul first, which I am
Yes.
putting on my wall right after this. I am.
Yes.
I have. I need to remember
Yes.
that.
Please do.
Yeah.
Well, stay in touch. Can't wait to have you back. Talk to you soon.
I will. Thank you. Take
You're
care.
very
Thank you so
welcome. All
much.
right. Bye bye.
Bye.